Wow. Welcome to our last few days in our free country. Destiny wrong about 2A. The Second Amendment? Wait, what? Notice a switch up now that the shooter isn't trans. Oh, I've only seen a little bit so far. I imagine people are going to spend a lot of time today going through the internet memory to figure out who owns this shooter. Although it's going to be really hard since he was 22. So sounds like he came from a super conservative family, but then he had 4 years to figure out from there. Who knows?
Yesterday you were...
Wait. Feels like Destiny was very mean to XQC, LOL, at least in the beginning. I'm not like a good... You need like a better... There is nobody else, actually. I don't even know what to say. Sorry. No, there are no other like liberal debaters like me, I guess, that go out and do shit like this. Find somebody equivalent in my position to talk about this better, because they'll be able to sell it more. Because I'm not a good like crier, or I do bad at being a victim, but like this, like the chances of me getting killed in an event are like dramatically increasing, and it bothers me a lot to see people like XQC or Asmongold who don't have any stake in anything that goes on here, you know, giving their opinions on shit and stoking the flames. And it's like, you guys aren't... I think I said that to XQC. It's like, listen, if you want to, you know, toss your hat in the ring and, you know, put your own life on the line of here. Not, I mean, not to be dramatic or whatever, but like it's very annoying to see people like that have the dumbest, most uninformed opinions ever. That I would argue are like increase, you know, like people like me getting killed at fucking events or whatever. So, yeah. Mehdi owning BBC News anchor. Yes, Mehdi is my spirit animal. I've said this multiple times. Oh, I was DMing with him yesterday. He's the only mainstreamish media person. I'm sorry. Fuck. I don't want to say this. This is a light fuck. This is a light fuck. A soft fuck for Ezra Klein. Okay? Charlie Kirk did not practice good politics. No, fuck all that bullshit. Okay? We're going to watch this, and I'm hoping to God, I saw a 47-second clip quote from Donald Trump in this, and I'm praying to God there's more context around this that makes it not as ghoulish as it appeared to be. It's just unbelievable. But we'll see. I don't like you, but Jesse on Fire is suggesting you knew about the killing. Who the fuck is Jesse on Fire? Is he the guy with all the golden Trump shoes in the background that told me he wasn't a Trump sycophant? Is that the guy? Is that one? Okay. Oh, because some people are clipping my Wikipedia joke where I quoted the thing, and then I said, who's gonna do it? Implying somebody's gonna update the death date, because he was pretty obviously dead. If you saw the video, he was pretty obviously dead. He's pretty obviously dead. Like, that guy would have had to come out as fucking Mecha Frieza to survive that shit. And then people are pretending that I tweeted that way before he got shot. I'm assuming you're not doing public events now. Why would you assume that? Maybe I have counter snipers set up at every single fucking event. You have no idea what my preparation looks like, what I'm prepared for, or what I'm prepared to do in a video game. I understand that Americans might not understand the reference, but is it Bella or Bea Chow is a political manifesto in and of itself. This guy was clearly a fucking tanky. So he might have been, he might not have been, but you have to, there's a whole world of like internet memes and shit out there. And if you're not part of certain communities, or if you are part of certain communities, it can be really hard to tell what somebody's signaling. I haven't dug into the guy and all the references and everything yet, but to say that like something is clearly one way or another, when there are so many different ways that there are, like, certain communities just have certain memes, and to a layperson, when you read some of them, you might think like, oh my God, this is so clearly, you know, one way or another, but it might be the complete and total opposite. So it's hard to say, but I haven't looked into the guy's shit yet, so I don't know. Hassan was very distraught and genuinely depressed the past 3 days, especially after Asman directly implied that Hassan could be a next target. Would Hassan ever be a target? The guy is too fucking scared to... Nah, actually, I shouldn't say that. I guess he does go out sometimes. To events and shit. Some counter arguments. Is it Bea or Bella? I don't know if they do that. Is it Bea Chow? Is a song on the Gripers official Spotify playlist. I saw somebody say that, but then somebody pointed out that official playlist only had like 30 shares. So I don't know if that's, but like we'll dig into it later. Fuck it. Mike from PA is spreading that shit? Yeah, of course, because people desperately want to put other people on other sides. Exactly. The arrow symbols, unless you're familiar with Helldivers, could be confusing for anything. Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that the arrow symbols, like it could be like a Helldivers reference, but the Helldivers reference could also be ironic from another community. You know, like it just depends on, you have to look at the totality of the memes. You have to swim and breathe in the internet culture. Which I haven't in the Griper spaces for a long time, so I don't even know. Jesse on Fire was referring to you completely interrupting a chick who was saying too much. Then you claimed it was because you were afraid she was going to be too edgy. Oh, I probably should have chosen my words more carefully there, but the reality is that, or actually, fuck it, I don't care. I'll be honest. The reality is that, like, right after an event like that, anybody can say anything. There's no reason to broadcast that, especially if you're not like a streamer or whatever. I had no idea what she was going to say. She might have made a joke about Charlie Kirk dying. She might have been expressing some fear about people dying at future events. She might have been worried that there could have been a whole bunch of things, you know, possibly. But I mean, I don't know how much experience she has like live streaming, so I'm not going to let her just come on and like, you know, live stream of thought right after, you know, some political influencer gets fucking assassinated on TV. What would be an example of a meme that we have here? You fuck everyone's mom. I mean, depending on when you watch my stream, you can literally, I mean, this happens to us all the time, right? Am I a super Nazi or am I like a far left tanky? Like I get called everything. It just depends on what you're clipping or what you're looking at. I mean, we literally have the fucking Pepe frog in chat. There were people that for a long time said that, and anytime like Jewish shit shows up on screen, I think we all kind of make kind of like the neo-Nazi anti-Semitic memes kind of, but I mean like we're not, you know, it really depends, you know. Oh yeah, we have, like, imagine if some dude murdered somebody who was like a fucking, like an Islamic extremist. And then imagine that, you know, we find out that he had an account in DGG and he posted 2 times, but then people start digging through like Dalibam memes. Like imagine, like you have this stuff playing on the news, like this guy was an avid DGGer, and these are the kinds of jokes that they told during when they played a harmless Reddit game on the internet. Like we would be cooked. What this community would 100% be written off as like a Sharia extremist. Here's Destiny saying that he thinks that if October 7th would have happened at the West Bank, he wouldn't have had any sympathy at all for Israel. Here's streamer Destiny saying that after Netanyahu supported Donald Trump, he didn't care if the entire Middle East got nuked. Like there's like so much shit. Yeah. That's what I'm just saying. It just depends. Destiny, over 1,000 hours in Helldivers, the upright down, down, down is a 500 bomb. A plane drops on your enemies. Okay. Based on the guy's identity, what do you think is the worst / best outcome for the future of politics? I feel like it's hard to tell whether him being a tanky or a gripper would be worse. Like the preliminary stuff that I would say is two things. One, this is like a boring thing, but I mean, like maybe people take it seriously eventually. One is that like the online extremism is a problem, and it probably needs to be toned the fuck down. Number one. And number two, all of the edgy like Discord weirdos are like getting old enough to assassinate people, and maybe they have proclivities towards that. It seems like a lot of internet. Well, I say a lot, but the trans shooter for that church was literally meme infested as well. I think there was one before that, right? Why do people give fake edgy takes? Like, or not fake, what is this? Destiny. DGG won't like this, but you don't want it to be a far left person because the whole right is going to say that's just a regular Democrat. Thank you, Laser. True. We probably don't want it to be even a far leftist. You're right. We definitely don't want to admit that, but yeah, of course, obviously. You should do a deep dive on the Order of Nine Angels and 764, which are internet/Discord cults. They are responsible for almost all the mass and school shooters in the past 5 to 10 years, including the school shooting that happened the same day as Kirk. You think so? Is that true? What do you think the line is when it switches from unjustifiable political violence to self-defense? The issue right now, and I've said this a lot actually, although not really with context to like killings, I'm saying this a lot now again, when people keep saying this stupid shit like it's just words, it's just politics, like what we shouldn't be killing each other over this, like wars are politics. Like I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I feel like we've bullshitted ourselves because so many people have gotten sucked into this political hobbyism where politics is just a fucking game and aesthetic for everybody online. It's like, imagine you have 1,000 people that are all street fighters, but in reality, like all of them are doing pro wrestling, but then like imagine like 3 or 4 guys show up who are actually like boxers or MMA fighters, and they start killing people, and then everybody's like looking around and it's like, oh man, like why are people dying? Like we're just fighters. Like nobody should be getting hurt out here. And it's like, no, you're not fighters, you fucking retard. You're doing pro wrestling. Nobody should be getting hurt like that. You're fucking retarded. But because everybody's calling themselves real fighters when they're just pro wrestlers, nobody understands when the actual fighters show up and start killing people. Like shooting people and assassinating people and murdering people, that is politics. That's politics. That's how politics works. And you get a bunch of people, writing dumb shit like violence doesn't solve anything. Like, excuse me, like I welcome you to look at the entire history of planet Earth. There's no, like, words shouldn't be violence. Excuse me. That's literally politics is communicating words and ideology. Like, yes, this is what politics is. But so many people have like worn it as a hobby and just played stupid games with it. When I say that, I don't necessarily mean to say that as though politics should necessarily lead to people in a country killing each other. In the United States especially, it shouldn't. But I'm saying that it can, and it should be expected if that's how you practice it. You can't, it's just, if people have bullshitted themselves into thinking that politics is just some sandbox arena where you go on to social media and have fun and it doesn't have any kind of like downstream impact, you're wrong. It's just not how it works. I said it maybe a year ago. It's not just content anymore. Yeah, it should have never been just content. Can we trust the info that the Patel FBI shares about this investigation to not be constantly filtered through the lens of what's best for Donald Trump? I've already said this. If Patel tweets something or says something at a press conference, I wouldn't necessarily believe him, on his own. However, if he's quoting or speaking from like an entire FBI investigation, my priors on this, my assumption would be it's going to almost certainly be true. The idea that the entirety of the FBI or an entire investigation that is not, forget how many people are in the FBI? I know not everybody will work on it, but of the hundreds of agents or thousands of agents that are roped into the investigation, plus the coordinating with local state officials or whatever else, like plus how many channels all of it has to be filtered through, there's the chances that they would just be faking shit is highly unlikely. I wouldn't believe that. You would, even as horrible as this current administration is, that comes off as highly, highly like unlikely to me. Destiny, they did nothing. His father turned him in. I wonder if he gets the reward still. He declined. Oh, it must be nice to be rich. I can't believe it. His own dad turned him in. God damn. Whether you like it or not, but Turner and his 24-hour news cycle turned politics into entertainment. Why do you think the U.S. election is more talked about in foreign nations than their own upcoming elections? Because U.S. politics is entertainment. Why do you say like it or not? Like I would be offended by that statement. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's a problem. I mean, Jesus Christ, we made fun of that a little bit when we... fuck, I feel like I so distinctly remember this. What was it? Maybe it was 2016. It was like flipping back and forth between the Republican primaries in the United States versus like the Canadian like prime minister debates or something. No, not for prime minister. No. It was for some Canadian election thing or whatever. Maybe it's for a premiere in some place. Yeah, and it was like so. I'm saying boring, but I don't actually mean that insulting. I mean, it was like political. It was like a good. It was the United States is like it's like pro wrestling. Like, does any other country on the planet have live studio audiences for their debates? Anybody? Like, we have people clapping and cheering and booing. That's what I mean when I say that. Brazil does, Sweden does, where they clap and they cheer and they... This guy here was a shooter, actually a registered Republican. No, I think there was some 30-year-old dude that everybody's mixing up because this guy's name is literally fucking John Smith or whatever. Do you think any of the people that were pushing him being a trans radical are going to walk it back? Any retractions, any apologies? No, because the point is never to be truthful. The point is to just attack, right? If you try to swing at somebody and you hit like a strong point in their armor, you don't apologize. You just swing somewhere else. That's all they're doing. That's all they care about. It's not about being right. It's just about attacking the other side. So if he is... if they find any fascist or anti-fascist stuff, then they'll point to that. If they can't pin it on the anti-fascist stuff, then they'll just say he was mentally ill and then move on to the next thing. That's it.
Unless you're like a sociopath and you don't feel shit, you know? Unless you got somebody duct taped upside down in your apartment, you know? And if you do something like that, I want you to feel like you can come to me, you know? Yeah, come to me, confess all of that. We'll go down to the precinct. We'll tell them everything. Yeah, I'm gonna turn you in. This isn't fucking Dexter. What are you, out of your mind? There's some feel-good serial killer walking around. He only kills the bad people. Listen, I know your mother and I, we've been arguing a lot lately, all right? But you know I love her. I love her to death, okay? It's weird. I love her to death, but when I watch her eat toast, I just want to...
Isn't the whole point of freedom of speech is that you can hold whatever extreme opinion you want and expect that you won't be shot for it? That isn't supposed to happen in this country. No, that is a naive opinion that you should abandon once you're an adult. Every right, every privilege, everything that you have in life, the more awesome the thing, the greater the responsibility that comes with it. You learn that with every single new thing that you acquire through youth, adolescence to young adulthood. You always learn this. If you have good parents, they will tell you as much. When you get your first car, when you get a driver's license, they tell you, you have the ability to, you can leave the house. You don't have to call mom or dad for a ride home. You can go visit friends that are further away. But when you're driving, now you can get into a car accident. You got to be careful where you're going. You got to pay attention. You can't be reckless. You have to take care of your car, right? Like every new privilege, every new right comes with some level of responsibility with it. Same thing with owning a firearm. You know, you learn to shoot. It's fun. Learn how to use a firearm. Don't point it at people that you don't want to kill. Don't, be irresponsible. Everything in life works this way. If you expect speech to be different, then you're just an idiot. I don't know what to say. You're a deeply unserious person. Like speech can take you to all sorts of different places. It's how movements get started. It's how it's just like, it's such a self-evident. It's not, I shouldn't say self-evident. I don't know. It's just like, Destiny, to an Italian, seeing a guy who writes Bea Ciao on a bullet meant for a conservative conveys a clear message. It's surreal how many retards are bending over backwards to not admit this guy's a tanky. Padgy, I don't know where you're from. If you're Italian, I really don't give a fuck. I'm American, motherfucker. I don't know anything about your country or your culture other than the fact that you guys have mafia people here and you like pizza or something. I don't know and I don't care and it doesn't matter. Unless this guy is from fucking Italy, your memes and your shit don't even matter. You barely have a fucking real language, okay? It's like you got like a forked version of Spanish, all right? That barely got patched past version 1.1, all right? Fuck off. Nobody cares, little bro. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That was really harsh for no reason. I'm just saying that, like, looking to another country for where a meme came from, you just don't know. It could be. It could be. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that I don't know. I haven't seen the totality of stuff.
The choker. I don't know what it is. It's the routine, right? Left, then the middle. It's just, why don't you just fold it in half and fucking eat it? You know what I mean? It's unreal. You know? That's when you know you met the right one. When you want to slap the shit out of him, but you don't. You know?
Okay, I don't know how to clip this. I also don't know what's real or what's like deep faked. I've seen people posting and talking about like Trump stuff related to this guy. No clue what's real or what's not. Even if some of it is real, I would say be careful because even if you do find him with like a Trump thing or a leftist thing or whatever the fuck else, like from 18 to 22, your entire fucking life can change. There's literally, people are saying it was Photoshop from this. I mean, if you guys should know, we've been there, right? I think you guys have been there from 18 to 22, most of you. I don't know why people are speculating so much on the motive. The right and Trump admin will find a way to blame who they want to blame, whomever they want, no matter the motive. I mean, the motive is fairly important, I think, right? Well, no, actually, it's not for many people. It would be for me, but not for anybody else, I guess, because nobody else is a serious person and gives a fuck about anything. If I found out that a mass shooter came from my community, I feel like I would be pretty bothered by that. I feel like I would be more careful with the things that I say. I would feel like I would try to communicate more on the don't kill people shit. But I feel like if it came from basically any other community online or in the real world, they would either pretend it didn't come from their community, say that they can't do anything to control it because people always pull that excuse out. I can't do anything. There's always going to be a crazy person, blah, 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 right? Or else. So nobody else would give a fuck, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. How are these new crazies like the least online people in Gen Z? I feel like I had written multiple manifestos by the time I was his age, but him and Thomas Matthew Crooks don't seem to have a bunch of writings that I've seen. Okay, listen, I love you, bro, but if you've written a few manifestos by the time you were 22, you might be a little bit of an outlier there. Okay. Destiny has changed his tune since the XQC chat. He said the right deserved it yesterday. I don't think I ever said that. But I think I might, I don't know if I would agree. Maybe I would agree with that though. I'm not sure. If you're going to ratchet up the, well, you know what? We're going to watch this first. We'll see.
Yesterday, you were at the 9/11 memorial. We were all watching that.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was very nice of you. Any updates on this suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right?
Why would you get sued for that? He's actually fucking senile.
In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. Getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. It's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President,
and he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me just, and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job.
What an insanely loaded question right away. One of the strange, weird, bad implications of this is that it's hard to say because I don't want to be like alarmist, because I feel like sometimes people have been doing that for a while, maybe a little bit too much in 2016, 2017, maybe. But now I feel like the libs were basically right about everything. Or if anything, they were wrong in that they weren't going far enough. Like, I feel like Trump would invite a civil war almost. As long as he doesn't have to be in danger directly. Like, he's already shown a propensity and a willingness to deploy the National Guard, deploy the military to cities. He's made jokes about it. He's made memes about it. So this idea of inciting or doing something to cause a civil war when he is in control of the military right now, and it seems like for the most part they're willing to do whatever. The worry that I have is, whatever the chances of this are, which I would still put it at below like 5% or less, whatever the chances of that are, I'm worried that if we were heading in that direction, like nobody would accept that or realize it until it was too late.
What's going on here?
Job. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him in. They said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you, huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley.
Right.
Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officer.
Like, just look at how incestuous this is. Like, why the president of the United States is on Fox News, on all these fucking shows that he's obsessed with, talking about other Fox News hosts that are his best friends, that, he's chummy with all of them. Like, imagine if Obama or any of the Clintons or whatever had this type of relationship, or if Biden was on CNN or MSNBC daily, sitting on the couch, chumming it up with everybody.
That got this guy.
They did a great job, everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father.
This is fucking... Trump's whole life, when he talks about issues like this now, are literally the... It's literally this shit.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
I feel like we've seen him do this multiple times now, outside of the helicopter with the Epstein thing. I'm not going to say... you know who, but it was the one girl who killed herself last year. Jeffrey Epstein took her from our spa, by the way. Like, okay.
And said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, you know, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later, because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
So, Mr. President, there is the death penalty in Utah.
Yes.
And I do know this is going to be a federal case, and there's many of us believe that Charlie was targeted because of his political ideology.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to this guy?
Well, I hope he's going to be found guilty, I would imagine, and I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did, Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this. He worked so hard and so well. Everybody liked him.
Very Christian.
I've been watching, even the left is having a hard time. They fired this guy Dowd from MSDNC, who's a terrible guy, terrible human being, but they fired.
Like, this is just the most outwardly corrupt thing in the universe, right? The president of the United States is on Fox News, the largest cable news network in the United States of America, trashing their competitors and anchors and hosts on their competitor news network. Like, it's just like so outwardly, like retardedly oligarchical. Like, it's so cringe and crazy.
Fired him. I hear they're firing other people. And, you know, we're talking about radical left. Now, they're a little bit, but radical left networks and cable channels, horrible channels like MS, I always go at DNC because it's, you know, somehow affiliated with the...
Like, look at the projection. MSDNC, right? He says, implying that MSNBC or whatever has some huge connection to the Democratic Party, while the president of the United States, the head of the Republican Party, is sitting on a Fox News show right now. Like, it's just, but like, and every single conservative watching this without a shred of irony is like nodding along, like sucking this up.
Democrat National Committee. So, you know, it's a little statement you make, but MSNBC, but NBC, ABC, CBS, they're all terrible, absolutely terrible and unfair. But even they have been giving it sort of like, this can't be allowed to happen.
And I just love moment of silence of the Yankee game, moment of silence of the Redskin game, Commanders game last night, because they understand this doesn't matter who you voted for. This was a special person. My opinion is that you have people, when a soldier dies, you write a personal letter, you feel it. When something happens in America, you feel it, you show up for it. I feel like with Charlie Kirk, from what I witnessed, is for you, it's almost like a family member.
You know, Don said to me, he's sort of like a son to you. Charlie got involved like 11 years ago, I think. He started, you know, he's a brilliant guy, but he didn't go to college. He actually started in college. He was so bored that he left. He would have done very well in college if he wanted to, but he was brilliant. I always said, you know, can you get a degree, because you're sort of used to having people like you went to college, right? Yeah. But he just didn't have the patience to do it. And he started this really during what would normally be college, maybe even sooner than that, but what would normally be college. And it's become a movement. And, you know, I won youth. A Republican never wins youth, but I won youth. I will tell you, TikTok helped me, but he helped me with TikTok. But he helped me with youth. I've never seen a person who's, in this case, older than the people we're talking about, you know, in many cases. I've never seen young people or any group go to one person like they did to Charlie. Mm-hmm. He'd go out to Arizona, to any school, to Utah, where he was, but any school, also East Coast, anywhere. And he would have bigger rallies than any radical left speaker. And it was killing them, because he'd have 5,000 people show up, 10,000 people show up. They'd go and they'd have 50 people, but they talk big league, right? Now, he was an unbelievable talent, but he was more, it wasn't really so much a talent. He just really believed it. He just believed it. He loved young people. He wanted to help young people. And he didn't deserve this. He was truly a good person.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important for people to see how he died? I think it's to see the horrific. Did you see it?
I didn't watch. I didn't want to watch. I heard about it.
You don't want to watch.
For people to see how he died. I think it's to see
Well,
the horrific.
Did
you see
I
it?
didn't watch. I didn't want to watch. I heard about it.
You don't want to watch.
I would have never made a good doctor. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I heard enough. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to remember Charlie that way. But
With the maggots going on a doxing spree to get people fired, do you think we should message police departments with screenshots of officers calling for violence against Dems or civil war on Instagram? Most of that isn't illegal. Doxing is not illegal, despite what some people say. General threats or general calls for violence is not illegal. It has to be like a specific call to violence of a specific person in like the near future, whatever, for it to be actionable or for it to be a crime.
yeah, it's horrific, is what I hear. Just horrific. I hear that nobody can. I know friends are.
Congress wastes so much time and money on TikTok hearing, but what happens now? Trump likes it. Well, what's happened is they just keep indefinitely pushing back the ban window on it. I think the legislation to ban TikTok, I think that came under Trump, but now that it's like good for him, now he likes it. So
Horrific.
I mean, they literally have a TikTok account, right?
What I hear, just horrific.
I know this because I saw they have an Instagram account too. Because I saw something pop up and I thought it was kind of like an unfunny like post making fun of Trump, and then I realized it was an unironic post from the Trump Instagram account that does reels. I was like, this is fucking retarded.
But yeah, it's horrific, is what I hear. Just horrific. I hear that nobody can. I know friends that were there, and they told me, they said, what we witnessed. The physical emotion of being there, or watching it on television. He was somebody that I always said he was very talented, but when you love something so much, it's almost not even talent. It's that you do it well because you like it. It's a passion.
How does a delaying indefinitely thing work? At some point, doesn't the actual legislation take over from the BS delays? The legislation, I believe, has a baked-in 90-day delay thing that in writing the president or the executive branch can delay it 90 days if they want. That's built into the legislation.
You love something so much, it's almost not even talent. It's that you do it well because you like it. It's a passion. And he had a passion for this. I spoke to his wife yesterday. She's like devastated.
Of course.
But in between the devastation, they want to keep Turning Point going. Because so many people called in to me with donations. I don't know who. Do we give donations to her? Do we give it to Turning Point? Do we give it to, any one of the hundreds of colleges that he worked with or universities? And they want to keep Turning Point going. They think they can do it. He had a very good staff, I noticed. Charlie would call me up. I'm president of the United States. And I get a call like a day before. Sir, could you come to Arizona tomorrow? I said, Charlie, I'm president. I can't just come. He said, it's so important. Could you play? And I'd usually try and get there. He's the only one.
20,000.
Yeah, he was such a great guy that he had to end this way. But in many ways, he's big.
I thought the delay was a year long, but it was only a one-time thing. Was it only a one-time thing? I thought they must have been doing it multiple times, or they just don't care anymore. They just don't enforce the law. It's possible too, I guess.
Now, because of what happened, he was really big, important, and I guess this doesn't help his family very much when I say this, but in terms of very, very important, getting that such a.
Aside from the moral reason, this is also the pragmatic reason this isn't good. It just makes the movement stronger, no? No, that's a truism that's given, and I don't believe it at all. That when somebody dies, they become a martyr. And blah. No, bullshit. I don't think that's true. I think that people are powerful when they're alive. Other people might be able to take advantage of your death as you're martyred, but then that's on them to become a big figure. But the idea that Charlie Kirk will be largely untalked about and forgotten 2 weeks from now. I don't know what will happen with Turning Point USA. That organization, I'm sure, will carry on in some way. Maybe they have some other leadership there that's ready to kind of step up. But Charlie Kirk was an incredibly important and probably unique figure in U.S. politics, and his death will be I would imagine, a pretty significant blow to the conservative college radicalization movement. So, A
good word, such a solid word. We have so many bad people, so many bad philosophies, ideologies, politics. His was basically just good. Family, he talked about family, he talked about get married, go get married. Sounds old-fashioned when you think about it, but he's right. He was just on. And it's a shame that voice has been stopped. But I think from what I see, he had I got to know a lot of his people. He had great people, and that includes his wife. She's very talented. He said she's the best writer he's ever seen. You know, she's a writer, among other things.
she was Miss
So
Arizona.
maybe they can really keep it going.
So, Mr. President, was it a one-off? Was this guy that assassinated Charlie?
It seems to be.
He wasn't a part of a bigger network or anything that we know
Well, you
of?
don't know. I mean, you don't know. I hear these people talking so badly about me and others. I'm a guy that just wants to make America great again. You know, we want to look at what we did in D.C. We took D.C., probably the single worst place in the country in terms of crime. There's no crime. It's a crime-free area. I went to dinner the other night, stood out in the middle of the street, did interviews with you guys, but I did interviews right in the middle of the street. If I did that 6 months ago or a year ago, I would have about a 30% chance of being here to talk about
We're
it.
getting shouted down.
And you know, it's amazing. D.C. is now a great safe. Now we're fixing it up physically, too. We're putting in new medians. We're going to give everything a little coat of asphalt so we don't have potholes all over. You know, filling a pothole is fine temporarily, but they'd fill a pothole and never touch it for 10 years.
Right.
You know, old potholes don't look good. We're going to fix it up. We're going to make it beautiful at a very minimal cost. And we're going to have the most beautiful capital in the world. But even more importantly than that, it's very safe. People would come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, and their son would be killed.
By a
They'd be
pothole.
killed.
Just kidding.
And now you can come and you can enjoy. I was very embarrassed because I had the president of Poland in, and they started asking me about D.C. a couple of weeks ago. And I said, we're very proud of the fact that nobody's been killed this week. And he looks at me like, you know, head of Poland. He says, whoa, is that? And he said, well, and I'm telling the press, you know, they're doing the little thing in the Oval Office, our great Oval Office, our very upgraded Oval. And the press is asking me, well, what about that? He said, we haven't had anybody killed in the last 3 weeks. And it's been like 9 years since nobody's been killed. Every week, somebody's been killed for years. And we haven't had crime. And they said it's down 87%. I said, what about the 13%? You know, why wouldn't it be? It's down 100%. Right. So since nobody's been killed, every week somebody's been killed for years, and we haven't had crime. And they said it's down 87%. I said, what about the 13%?
Oh, never
you
mind.
know, why wouldn't it be? It's down 100%. Right. So you'd be very proud of your capital. You can go there now and by the way, business is booming, restaurants are booming, and this all took place within, we really did it in 12 days, but now it's better. You know, each day it becomes even better.
Mr. President, what do you say to the families that are watching, the moms, dads, that we've heard so much negative news with the lady being killed on the train,
terrible.
right? And then we have Charlie Kirk. We had a school shooting the other day. And those are just 3 big events that happened in the last few days. So, or that we learned about. The girl was killed
In the attempts on your life?
Yes.
Well, one thing I do say, I mean, look, we have that maniac has gone through trial right now with a fantastic judge.
With Trump glazing Kirk like this, do you think Fuentes is watching this wishing Trump was his daddy, crying and mad inside? I don't know. I haven't watched Fuentes much recently, but unless something is changing inside the White House or nationally, like the Trump cult will die with Trump. There's nobody around him. I think that like narcissistic cult leaders like this don't like to share the spotlight with people. Everybody around Trump is kind of a fucking loser. Even if Republicans won't admit it now, they do admit it as soon as the person steps away. Elon Musk is a great example of that. I don't know if people like Fuentes or if people are kind of like eyeing like what comes next, like who wants to rise up into the Republican leadership ranks after, because there's going to be a huge vacuum once Trump either strokes out or, you know, leaves the stage. So who knows?
I mean, look, we have that maniac has gone through trial right now with a fantastic judge. That was the judge that realized that deranged Jack Smith was deranged, okay? She's a phenomenal judge.
Do you have any advice for people on the left who feel like they are being radicalized? I mean, like, being radicalized on the left isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on how you're being radicalized. Like, you should be radically opposed to this type of rhetoric. You should be radically in opposition to, like, everything that Trump is doing. That doesn't mean you have to become a fucking tanky or a commie, right? I mean,
I don't know her. I appointed her, but I don't know her at all in Florida. And she's a, you know, really talented person, brilliant judge. And by coincidence, she got that case. And, you know, he's like a wise guy troublemaker, it seems. But we have to have, for like the person.
Did you see the Asman Nick Fuentes 69ing each other on Twitter. Yeah, it was fucking gross. But I mean, like, that was the direction he's headed. Twitch politics is insane. I can't believe how just unbelievable that platform is, like radicalizing a small part of the generation of people. Like, just the idea that if you are actively involved in Twitch politics, you're going to be either getting radicalized by, Hassan Piker, like terrorist supporter guy, or you're going to be getting radicalized by Asmongold, who is like a full-throated Trump dick suck. And there's like very little in between on that platform. That's just insane to me.
Maker, it seems, but we have to have.
Destiny, you do realize that the EU is having the same huge trend in far-right anti-democratic parties while not having any particularly charismatic leader. This authoritarian populist bullshit is going to stay with us for a long time. This trend isn't going to just evaporate. It's global and deeply rooted. I don't necessarily disagree with that, maybe. Although the sad thing is, I would say that like it was more understandable for Europe. I think in the wake of the refugee crisis from Syria, I guess this is like, we're putting more time between now and then, so I don't know how young the audience is, but like I think that was a pretty big thing for a lot of European countries. I think it was a testing point for a lot of immigration, welfare, and crime policies and stuff. It made like fertile breeding ground for a lot of conspiracies to pop up. However, I don't think there's an excuse for the United States to have gone this way. Like, I can see why certain European countries might have had issues with immigration. Like, I can kind of understand, like, I can understand. I don't think it was good, obviously. It was a disaster, Brexit. But, like, I know where the retardation comes from. The United States' retardation just feels entirely self-inflicted. The one thing that I said that was nice, I don't know how true this is. This is like I'm vibing this out heavily right now. Honestly, based on what the Dr. Mordecai Kadar guy told me about families in the Middle East. I don't know how true this even is. But the nice thing about the United States being like the leader of the free world is that the US can kind of like take the lead on Europe, and it can do it in such a neat and tidy way because of our physical distance from Europe and because of our like historical distance from Europe. I feel like there's a lot less ego involved in saying the United States of America just kind of bullies us and tells us what to do. And you might even grumble a little bit behind, her back and fuck America or whatever. But like, it's easy for the US to kind of like take point and be a leader of Europe because it's the US. Everybody has their gripes or whatever. My feeling is, my gut feeling, I could be wrong, like I said, but my gut feeling is that even though people talk about a strong Europe coming out of, the US abdicating its position, on the world stage, I don't know. I feel like it is meaningfully different. If you're a German, if you're a Frenchman, if you're a bonger, if you're whatever, and you got to take point from America, you have to be bullied by America, whatever, fine. But if it's going to be France leading the European continent or Germany leading the European continent, I feel like the people of Europe, it doesn't feel quite the same. Now there's way more ethnic pride, historical pride, geographic pride. It's just, I feel like it feels a lot different there. And there might be internal strife that you don't see right now because the United States just has such a convenient distance from all of them to be the leader of those people. The Dr. Mordecai Kadar guy told me that sometimes when important things needed to be managed by like royal families or whatever, rather than appointing like a brother or somebody close to your family, you would find somebody who's like completely outside of the family to take care of things, because then the accusations of bias and the issues of somebody favoring one family member over another would be really difficult. So you'd put somebody who's like completely outside of the family in charge of like, certain finances, with respect to certain things. I don't remember if he gave Qatar or it might have been the Emirates, the UAE is an example of this for some family that did this. But the idea was that the other person wouldn't play favorites or anything. And yeah, I feel like the United States kind of has that, because for the US, it's funny. In a way, we're retarded and we just view all of it as Europe. But I think our retardation is a little bit helpful there in that, well, we're all just Europeans to us, so who the fuck cares? But who knows? Maybe I'm completely and totally fucking wrong, and maybe Europe is okay being led by France or by Germany. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
He's like a wise guy. And she's a, really talented person, brilliant judge. And by coincidence, she got that case. And, he's like a white.
Americans like Destiny still view Eastern Europeans as subhumans. Oh, Rational Liberal 24 is, you must be European, I'm guessing. You must be. Are you Western European? Because to say Americans view Eastern Europeans as subhuman is utterly not true. Maybe in an online world that's true. But in the real world, the average American is too fucking retarded to even know what an Eastern European is. The average American has no fucking clue. Like, racism against Poles? Aren't they white? If you were to ask an American, do you think there's racism against Polish people? They would probably say, no, Polish people are white. How can you be racist against Polish people? That's what the average American would say to that. You absolutely must be European to make that comment.
This guy troublemaker, it seems, but we have to have, for like the person that killed her, he's a really talented person, brilliant judge, and by coincidence he got that case, and he's like a wise guy troublemaker, it seems, but we have to have, for like the person that killed the young girl, she was like a beautiful girl, 22, 23 years old. And when she got onto that train, you could see that she just wondered how, even before this happened, she almost like snuck on. She didn't want to make anything. She just wanted to be, she was afraid.
Finished her job.
No, she was afraid. But if you look at her before the way she sort of like she wanted to and she's looking at her phone like this, she felt very unsafe. Okay, we can't have that. And then this maniac gets up from behind. That's another one I didn't want to watch. I didn't watch it. I knew what happened, but I didn't want to watch it. And what he did to her was unbelievable. And then he walks through, the knife is dripping blood and everything else. One thing I say, we have to have quick trials.
Yeah.
I call it quick trial, because in China, they do have quick trials, They don't wait.
Notice how much he loves to cite other countries. He loves Orban. He loves saying that he wants to be respected, like North Koreans respect their leader. Now he's talking about China and how great their trials are. That should be like a huge wake-up call I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Bro, my mom hated China and Russia growing up. I wish you could understand how much... My mom didn't even say China. It was always Chi-Coms and Red China is what she would always say. That, like, this is just unreal to me.
I call it quick trial, because in China, they do have quick trials, They don't wait 6 years and
you
claim
start
all
off guilty
sorts
and
of
you end up
reason.
guilty in China.
Oh, it's terrible. What happens here is you go through 7, 8 years, and by the time it ends, and then they say, well, he had a reason to do it because he wasn't treated right in grade school, and it's his teacher's fault, and it's the government's fault. That guy they should have a trial the following day.
But do you know that they said...
I mean, when you have somebody on tape, here's a guy on tape getting ready to, and then he did his thing. The whole thing is on tape. This should not be going on. This trial will go on. It'll start in 2, 3, 4 years. We have to have, in certain places that do it differently, they have what's called quick trial. You have a fast trial, a fast verdict. Right. Now, if he's guilty, we're going to have to keep him, feed him, take care of him for, let's say he's 28 or 29 years old, I understand. So, like for 50 years, we're going to be...
But he never should have been let out.
Now, in Utah, he shouldn't have been let out. And the judge should be responsible for that, the way she did it. But in Utah, they have the death penalty. And you have a very good governor there. The governor, I've gotten to know him. The governor is very intent on the death penalty in this case, and he should be. In North Carolina, you also have it, but we have to make sure that happens. That was a horrific crime.
But I think Ainsley's point is in the big picture. What do you say to people who are saying they see the assassination attempts in your life, they see the Minnesota lawmakers, they see what happened, they see what happened to Charlie, and they're saying, what's going on with the political process? Now, instead of trying to get votes, you're trying to survive. There are lawmakers canceling their events this weekend, AOC on the left and a lot of lawmakers on the right saying, I'm a little concerned about doing a public event. As president, what do you tell them?
I say you have to go forward. You just have to go forward. You watch, as closely as you can. You have, I have great people. I mean, I have people now much better and far more. When I was hit in Butler, they wouldn't, it was Biden, but they wouldn't approve. We had 55,000 people. We had, we get these tremendous crowds, and I'd have far fewer people than Biden who'd go out. He had many more Secret Service people than me. And he'd have like 8 people show up, but I have 55 or 60,000 people show up. Butler's a great example of that. and that we have great people right now.
What the fuck was his answer? Wait, hold on. What?
Concerned about doing a public event. As president, what do you tell them?
I say you have to go forward. You just have to go forward. You watch, as closely as you can. You have, I have great people. I mean, I have people now much better and far more. When I was hit in Butler, they wouldn't, it was Biden, but they wouldn't approve. We had 55,000 people. They wouldn't, or when I was hit in Butler, they wouldn't, it was Biden, but they wouldn't approve. We had.
Can somebody tell me if I'm right on this? Didn't Biden increase the amount of Secret Service available to Trump during the election season? Am I making that up? I need the story for this. Pressure is growing to increase Donald Trump's Secret Service protection after the second apparent assassination attempt on the former president in 2 months. The service needs more help, President Joe Biden said on Monday. Congress should respond to their needs if they in fact need more service people. I think this is after he already increased protection. This is like Biden literally appealing to Congress for more protection for Trump. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is stripping Secret Service protection from Kamala Harris and anybody else he can. In the aftermath of an assassination attempt last month, the agency has shifted members of President Biden's protective team to the Trump campaign. You'll never see a headline even remotely similar to this. The Secret Service has bolstered former President Donald J. Trump's security in a variety of ways since the assassination attempt on him last month. Several people familiar with the matter said on Thursday, including by temporarily shifting part of President Biden's protective team to Mr. Trump. I might become radical. We need to form like a radical terrorist, like pro-Biden group. Just kidding. In a video game.
55,000 people.
Oh, that's right. It was the Iranian thing. Donald Trump's Secret Service protection has been increased prior to assassination attempt due to Iran threat. It was when there was supposedly some Iranian threat. Now I guess we see why Iran was threatening him. Oh, no. U.S. Secret Service in recent weeks has increased. This is before the assassination attempt. This is in July of 2024.
We had, we get these tremendous crowds, and I'd have far fewer people than Biden who'd go out. He had many more Secret Service people than me, and he'd have like 8 people show up, but I have 55 or 60,000 people show up. Butler's a great example of that. And we have great people right now. We had a thing happen that's very big. People don't even talk about it. We won a lot of great decisions. The Supreme Court, I give them a lot of credit. We have a decision on merit. In other words, this country is now a country of merit. You don't have to be a woman or a man or a this or a that.
Give me the best person.
You don't have to be white or black or Asian or whatever it is. It's all based on merit now. And I wasn't sure if anybody would have the courage to make that decision. That was a big, big decision. When you go down to Washington and you see these people, they happen to be strong soldiers. They're big and strong. They don't mind fighting. Mm-hmm. As opposed to somebody that really isn't equipped to do that weighs perhaps 100 pounds.
And has a third nationality or sexuality, they be him.
Correct. You can say it. I'd rather not say it. I want to see them. But it's based on merit. You hire people now based on merit. That's the way the country got great. And I give so much credit to the Supreme Court for that. So with some of these people, though,
crazy that just knowing a person is trans is enough for these people to dox and get people kicked out of the military. But as soon as a supposed like super Antifa assassin shows up, the first assumption is that it's a trans shooter. What the fuck is going on there, guys?
We're going to have to do, the politicians are one thing, and we can talk about that.
It just shows that they don't believe in anything they're saying, right? They don't believe in anything they're saying.
Some of these people, though, we're going to have to do, the politicians are one thing, and we can talk about that. But we have to have trials that go quickly.
Okay.
We can't have a trial like this guy. We can't have a trial that's going to start in 3.5 years from now.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmer.
Wait, did they not have the craziest part in this? Am I crazy? Does anybody have a link to this?
We have radicals on the left.
Oh, fuck. Whatever. We're not rewatching this whole thing. Apparently the full show was 60 minutes. Was he on for the full hour? He did an hour show with these guys? What the fuck?
Because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. The professional agitators. I had to say, I'm pleased to report that nobody was shot, nobody was killed this week. And he's like, is that good? He's like, no, they don't have people shot every week, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a different thing. We're doing great. We'd love to save Chicago. We don't want to go into a hostile. By the way, the people will greet us.
Right.
But they have professional agitators. They're professional.
Okay.
I had one the other night.
Like this, there are so many things that Donald Trump says and does that are beyond the line that should just be impeachable. Like they also, whoever, I think that should be like a slur. I don't think people should be allowed to say that word anymore in mainstream or alternative media. No more saying they. I want you to identify motherfuckers from now on. Who the fuck is they? Antifa? The mayor's office? Name a group and name some people from now on, okay?
That Mrs. Jones, who's 85 years old, is sitting in a chair with a gun in her hand, and they leave her alone, okay? If she didn't have a gun, they wouldn't leave her alone. But D.C. is a great example.
Oh my God, I'm fucking so retarded. I was supposed to be in this guy's show. I fucked up. Fuck. I have this on my schedule. Why didn't you guys say anything? Fuck.
Some pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday, obviously covering the breaking news that the shooter has been taken into custody. His father is the one that also turned him in. I mean, I know Kash Patel, they all want to, it's a great thing that he's in custody, but Kash Patel had absolutely nothing to do with it, and neither did Donald Trump's DOJ. So someone who's been very outspoken and vocal about Charlie Kirk over the years is the guy we have with us right now. And we're happy that he is here to join us. Always opinionated Destiny joining me right now on the program. Destiny, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on again, Destiny. So let me start with this. Your reaction to who this shooter is, not a Democrat, not a lefty lunatic, as Donald Trump would say, and all the people on the right have been saying for the last several days. It appears to me, 22-year-old, straight white male, not transgender, came from a Mormon conservative family. Your reaction to that?
I mean, I'm always interested where the shooters come from because I think it's important to track the ideology and everything online. That being said, I think it's important to keep in mind that for the right-leaning people, the fact of the matter is never relevant, right? Initially, this was a trans activist shooter who was drawing, I guess pink and blue trans arrows all over his bullets, and now it's shifted to where maybe he was Antifa. Who knows? For the people on the right, it doesn't matter because no matter what, they're never going to tell their side to tone it down anyway. But I think that I feel like I'm talking to screaming to the abyss at this point. Like the radicalization of everybody in online spaces and real life spaces is just getting ratcheted up more and more and more. And Trump is just pushing it further and further and further. And unless the Republicans are willing to actually say something about how everybody needs to calm down, it's just going to get worse and worse.
So do you agree with me, Destiny, that, listen, obviously this is a tragedy and we feel for Charlie Kirk's family and everybody that was there, obviously very traumatic. But with that being said, I would imagine you probably agree with me. Charlie Kirk was not a good guy. And I'm not saying he deserved this, and nobody should be celebrating this. But at the same time, giving this guy a medal, which it appears Donald Trump is going to do, he promoted hate, racism, misogyny, sexism, you name it. And he made money off of that, and he profited off of it. I'm not celebrating the life of Charlie Kirk.
So the United States is an interesting experiment because we have a democracy where we have people who are supposed to be able to coexist, even though we might have some pretty big disagreements amongst each other. I would agree that Charlie Kirk was not a great guy, but there are things that I feel like we should focus on more than being racist or hateful. As much as it might disgust me personally, I think that, being racist or being bigoted, I think these are bad things, but I don't know if they're fundamentally incompatible with the society that we have. People can have kind of abhorrent views sometimes about other people and you can still coexist. I think the thing that needs to be focused on more, and it's not as sexy to talk about, but it's this constant undermining of the functionality of our democracy. The horrible things that I would say Charlie Kirk and the Republicans do, or did, and are doing now, is the undermining of our system of justice. I was right before this listening to Trump talk about how he likes that China has speedy trials and the insane weaponization of the DOJ against so many different political opponents in this country. Like, this is the type of stuff that is not compatible with a liberal democracy. It's not just a free speech issue. These are people who are actively trying to subvert the things that make this country function. And I think that's the really horrible stuff that should be focused on. Not to say that I give him a pass on any of the other stuff, but yeah.
And Destiny, not to say that this is tops of the list here, but I do find it interesting and sad that, the flags are put at half mast, after Charlie Kirk is murdered, but yet after a school shooting in Minneapolis, for example, last week, when several children lose their lives, they don't go to that extent, and MAGA Republicans don't really want to talk about it. They want to say thoughts and prayers, but I see all these MAGA Republicans on television and on the radio and all that other stuff that are literally crying on the air. But yet when it comes to children getting shot and killed, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the assassination of the Minnesota lawmaker and then the shooting of the other one, I think that was insane. And to see Trump go so far that, he apparently is even flying his face at half-mast right now in honor of Charlie Kirk's death, I think it's just absolutely insane, the different standards that both sides, or that they play against both sides here, depending on who gets killed.
Yeah, I just don't seem to understand it. And going back to, let's just use Nancy Mace as an example. She's a lunatic, but a couple days ago she said whoever is responsible for this should get the death penalty. And now, after finding out that this isn't a trans person, it's a 22-year-old straight white male, now she wants people to pray for him. Destiny, I also find that very interesting.
The worst comment that Nancy Mace made was, there was a journalist who actually asked her specifically about the Minnesota shooting, because immediately now we have the shooter now, and now everybody's going to be spending the next few days or a couple of weeks, digging through his online stuff to see who gets credit for owning the shooter or whatever. But before we even knew anything, right, following Trump's lead, Nancy Mace was literally saying the Democrats owned this shooting. We had no idea who it was. We still don't necessarily know 100% what the ideology is, but she was comfortable saying that yesterday on media. And then when a journalist asked her, well, does that mean that the Republicans own the shooting for the Minnesota senator? She became incredibly indignant and said that she didn't want to talk about it then. And I heard on NPR this happened where another, I think, congressman was confronted by an NPR person saying as well, like, won't the Republicans say something? The Republicans never tell their side to turn it down, ever. They don't. You can't find this from any of the big lawmakers or from Trump himself. The only people who are saying it are being outcast from the party, like Massey right now.
So I want to ask you this, Destiny, because I think we all were obviously scared by what took place the other day, and I'm afraid of possible retribution. You're one of the biggest faces on the left, certainly one of the largest, most popular streamers around. Are you scared? Because you make a lot of public appearance. You do stuff in public. You did the Jubilee thing. You get yourself out there. Does this scare you after what just took place the other day? And have you said to yourself, man, this could happen to any one of us?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty frightening. I mean, it's a thing that you've always kind of contended with if you're in this space and you're going out to places. Like, there have been isolated shootings in the past. There have been influencers that have been killed by crazy stalker people. It feels really bad, I guess, but I mean, at this point, I don't expect the president of the United States to do anything responsible for his citizens. It's pretty bad to see the president ratchet up the rhetoric, and then to see people like Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire basically doing explicit calls for civil war or violence. Like, the next person that gets killed in this, whether it's right or left, I would place the blame squarely on their shoulders. Maybe they get off to stuff like that. I saw some tweet with 100,000 some likes where some guy was like, he typed like 20 paragraphs of stuff talking about how he's watching Charlie Kirk getting killed on repeat just to radicalize himself more and more, and it was like one of the most unhinged things I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad, but I mean, this is the road that we're on, and it takes two to turn the car around.
Yeah, you mentioned Matt Walsh, Destiny, who I just think is absolutely despicable. And you're right. He's literally inciting violence. And you said that on social media, and I agree with you on that. And there's the Steve Bannons of the world and others, and Alex Jones, who we shouldn't be surprised. This means war. we're going to war. Why? Because one 22-year-old lunatic, who, by the way, is not a Democrat, decided to do something horrible, and they're saying we're at war now. Why can't they just say, hey, let's all call out what the Democrats are saying? We need to all call out political violence. It's never the answer, but yet Republicans want to put the blame on the other side, and it just drives me crazy where we're at right now as a country.
Yeah, and I would say I'm good at both sides. I just want to say both sides are acting immoral right now. Republicans need to call their side out, and Democrats need to stop. Elizabeth Warren had the only correct answer, and so did Mehdi Hassan. The Republicans need to tell people to stop. And to see the Democrats say it over and over again, I was just on Piers last year. I think I'm going on again Monday, and it's going to be the exact same conversation I had last year after the firefighter got shot. It's this cycle that we're locked in, this death spiral of bad thing happens. Every Democratic leader comes out and says, guys, we all need to calm down. All the Republicans are saying it's time for war. And then the cycle repeats over and over and over again. Go figure, the temperature's not being turned down at all. Donald Trump is still ratcheting up the insane rhetoric over and over and over again. 2 days before the shooting, he's posting pictures on Truth Social about going to war in Chicago. Every single thing about this administration is comically over the top, like glorifying violence. Whether we're talking about Kristi Noem taking videos in front of cages of people in El Salvador, whether we're talking about laughing that it's called Alligator Alcatraz, or celebrating the renaming of the DoD to the Department of War, or going from the president of No New Wars to celebrating our bombing of Iran, like. Whether you agree or disagree individually, I'm just saying that every single thing about this administration, at every single point, they have taken the worst turn to make things more radical and more violent. And he is showing zero willingness to turn it around, even after one of the most important conservative figures just got assassinated. Like Charlie Kirk was probably one of the larger, more influential conservative figures in the United States. And that's not enough to tell him, well, maybe we need to all kind of chill a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like the last time that really happened was after 9/11, and we just had the anniversary yesterday where Republicans and Democrats, at least for a few days, were able to come together. Not that I wouldn't use the term symbolic for this, Destiny, but I do find it interesting. As you know, in the last literally seconds of Charlie Kirk's life, he was asked about transgender shooters, and there were 5, and his response was, well, too many. And then he's asked about the total of mass shootings, and literally the last words out of Charlie Kirk's mouth were, are you talking about gang violence? Really meaning black on black crime. I don't hear anybody today in the MAGA world talking about white on white crime. That's what took place in Utah. It was white on white crime. But when I see these shootings, I don't like to focus on color of skin, but they do. And Charlie Kirk was literally talking about that, literally the last seconds of his life.
Yeah, I mean, having your last word be violence and then getting killed by a rifle at distance by a guy who was raised religious is not. Yeah, I hope I'm not killed by a crazy StarCraft 2 player, I guess, if I'm out doing a public event. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's tragic. It's more tragic that the response from this administration and every single large conservative figure online and in the media is to just call for more violence and then to act shocked and bewildered every time it continues to happen.
Destiny, last question for you. And I haven't really gotten into this on the show yet. As you know, Kash Patel, Trump's DOJ, Kash Patel puts out a tweet. They say, we got a person of interest. We're questioning him. He's in custody. And then an hour later, we let him go. We just interviewed him. As you know, they arrested the wrong person at that time. And then they hold a press conference, and Kash Patel's first words are, we got him. But in essence, they had no idea who this was, except a couple images. And the only reason why they got him was because this shooter's father turned him in. Uh-huh. So I don't understand the governor, by the way, making I wanted to ask you about that too. The governor, we didn't have people in our state. I'm so proud of people in our state because we weren't, blowing up cars and, he was referencing Black Lives Matter protests and all that stuff. That's basically what he was saying. And then you have Kash Patel trying to take credit for all this as if he did anything. He did nothing except screw this up and put out misinformation.
Yeah, and also it's important to recognize where the violence comes from and how that functions as well, because they don't have to go and blow up cars and everything. You have the president of the United States who is non-consensually deploying the National Guard and the military to states, of course they're not going to riot. They don't need to. Trump is literally on standby, ready to exercise whatever executive authority, legal or not, he can to enforce his will amongst the American people. So, yeah.
Well, just quickly, obviously with the Un-F America tour, which now I'm a part of, and certainly you are, and, we were supposed to be going out there to Phoenix. And where do you think this Un-F America tour goes now? And what do you think Turning Point goes now? Do you think they continue and they say we're doing this in Charlie Kirk's legacy? Where does the NF America tour go? And Turning Point, do you think they continue?
For the NF America tour, you'd have to talk to the lead. I think Z is the lead organizer for that. Yeah, I'm just I just along for the ride. In terms of Turning Point, I don't know what the rest of their leadership looks like. As time has gone on, and I've read more, learned more history, watched more politics unfold in real time, I'm actually a bigger believer in individuals having a significant amount of sway over political systems, countries, people, organizations. I don't know if Turning Point carries on in the same way without Charlie. Maybe there are other people there that are able to step up, but Charlie was a really unique guy. I recommended everybody, and I still do, to watch his show with Gavin Newsom. That guy was incredibly smart. This was I think a high school grad, no college or college dropout, who wandered into enemy territory that was considered written off and lost by every conservative, right? College campuses, and he turned it into a massive breeding ground for conservative ideology. It's very impressive in terms of what he was able to accomplish politically. So I don't know if they have a person at Turning Point. Maybe it's large enough now. I'm sure it'll carry on to some extent with some support, but yeah, who knows? Who's to say?
We'll see. Destiny, please stay safe out there, my friend, and I always appreciate it when you take the time to do this show. We'll let you get back to your own live stream now, but I appreciate you coming on. Have a good weekend, okay?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. That's Destiny, everybody. One of the largest streamers around, and I always appreciate it when he takes the time to join us as well.
Okay. I have a WIC panel at 6. Don't let me forget that one either, guys. Okay. Jeez.
The mayor is a very liberal person, was not in favor of this, and now all of a sudden she's being praised by the people in the community. Everybody wants, who doesn't want it to happen? Like in Chicago, if you took a poll, do you want to have no crime, or do you want to walk outside and get mugged or killed? I mean, they're losing 6, 7, 8, 9 people every week, and 30 or 40 are being shot. That's worse than Afghanistan. That's worse. There's no city like that. You know, we hear about places like, Afghanistan's so terrible. They don't have anything like that. When I had to tell in front of the president of Poland, the press, you know, we had one of the media scrums and they're screaming and everything. We're in the Oval Office. And I had to say, I'm pleased to report that nobody was shot, nobody was killed this week. And he's like, is that good? I mean, he's like, what are you talking? Yeah. No, they don't have people shot every week, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a different thing. We're doing great. We'd love to save Chicago. We don't want to go into a hostile, by the way, the people will
save Chicago with the military. That's not how that works.
Will greet us. Right. But you know, they have professional agitators. They're professional. I had one the other night. I went into a restaurant and this woman stood up. I looked at her immediately. She had money. She wasn't. They get paid for it. They're professional from Soros and other people. And we're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Because this is more than like protest. This is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And
what the fuck are we talking about? George Soros? What? Hello? Is it 2016 again?
We're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious.
Like, this is like a call to violence. This is a support for right-wing terrorism. It's basically a call to continue on, right? You're like, violence isn't bad. It's bad violence. That's bad. Righteous violence is usually celebrated. This is like a call for basically righteous violence. People on the right rise up when they're tired of crime, when they're tired of these, crazy, horrible leftists who are just trying to destroy our country. Like, that's just an unbelievable statement to make.
Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women's sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders. The worst.
Like, imagine in the same breath as saying, like, so Charlie Kirk was just assassinated, one of the largest political figures, influencer types, whatever the fuck you want to call it, organizers in the United States right now. And then in the next breath, you're talking about trans swimmers again. Like, what? Like, this is the Republican machine at work. It's to get you as upset as possible. It's to constantly make you mad and angry at everything. Like, there are going to be people marching in the next Civil War upset about trans people.
thing that happened to this country, because I've already solved inflation, costs are down. Look at energy costs. You're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon. I've solved just about every problem. The worst thing that happened to our country is when we let 25 million people in, many of which, and I say 80%, should not be in our country.
Did he say 25 million now? I thought it was 20 million before. Or is it increasing somehow? Or is Biden still sneaking them in?
Energy costs. You're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon. I've solved just about every problem. The worst thing that happened to our country is when we let 25 million people in, many of which, and I say...
Is it, okay, it's 25 million now, okay. So the investment in our country is always increasing, but so are the illegal immigrants that came in are also retroactively increasing?
80% should not be in our country. They emptied their prisons into our country. They emptied their mental institutions, insane asylums. You don't know what that is. That's seriously, you know what that is? A mental institution on steroids, okay? They emptied out insane asylums, crazy people, into our country by the millions. And it's the hardest thing. We have a border now that's totally secure. Nobody came in. Think of that. They actually had announced nobody. We used to have millions of people come in. Nobody came in. And we back up the border with the military. We've done a great job. But the worst thing that happened to our country is to allow millions of people in from jails, mental institutions, drug dealers. Right. They threw them all into our country. And these stupid people, and some of them are stupid in terms of common sense, but they're brilliant in other ways. Biden wasn't calling the shots. It was the geniuses that surrounded, radical left geniuses that surrounded him. Unfortunately, he used the Resolute desk. That's the one I used. I hated that he used it, but he used it. But they called the shots. And he didn't do anything. Look at what happened. The auto pen signed everything. He wasn't aware of anything that was being signed. It's so illegal.
Let out killers from prison, and he doesn't even know it.
They took the unselect committee that, investigated stuff. It found out that we were right on everything. They burned all the information because
this is all just lies. He's talking about the January 6th Select Committee. This idea that they burned all the evidence or didn't, you guys saw me study this topic for 3, 4, 5 months. There are thousands of pages of deposition, hundreds of hours of interviews. All of it is available unless they've unhosted it now. But you can go and it's all there. It's the final report is 960 some pages. All of it's there. This is just a fucking lie.
Right on everything. Nancy Pelosi knew. I told her, I said, I'll give you 10,000 troops, January 6th. I'll give you 10,000 troops if you'd like. No, we don't want them. Oh, well, they found out that was true. They found out it was true. They burned everything. And Biden gave them a pardon. He gave these people in the committee, Congress people.
That's not true. But
well, he gave them a pardon.
Not really.
And it's so what they did, what he did to this country will live in infamy. So what he did is, and I say, Lawrence, I say what he and his people, because he was up sleeping most of the time, he should not have been president.
But Mr. President, I remember we talked to you the next day after they tried to assassinate you, the first time. And
oh my God, are they trying to not sane wash him, but they're trying to actually get him President, can't you just tell people to chill out? Hold on.
It changed you. And you talked about your faith and how the American people, they're shaking this morning over Charlie Kirk, the school shootings that are happening. What do you say to those people that are hurting this morning?
Well, I tell politicians, and I have a lot of friends that are Democrats. There's some normal Democrats too, not too many. But I have some friends, and I've been called by Democrats, everything else. They're equally concerned also. Yeah. It's them too. They don't want to go out in a public space and start. And I say something pretty simple. You got to do it. You got to protect as much, but you got to do it. I have the advantage of having hundreds of guys around me, as president, but they don't have that advantage. They could be a congressman, or they could be. Look at Steve Scalise, a great guy. Look what happened to him. If he didn't have those two very brave people around, they would have all been killed. All those congressmen would have been killed. But yet 3 of them badly hurt, and Steve was really badly hurt. I really say, I'm a little bit of a fatalist, I guess. I say, got to do your thing, or get out of the business and go into something.
I just want to say that I am unbelievably fucking shocked that he just used the word fatalist. I would have never expected him to have that word in his vocabulary. Wow. You just got 7 IQ points in my head higher than, good job. I wonder if that came from the deep recesses of his rotting mind.
It's a dangerous business. And frankly, it always has been. It always has been. My job's very dangerous. If you would have told me this, maybe I wouldn't have done it, Brian. If Brian would have called me up, it's interesting. It's you look at the stats on presidents, it's the most dangerous career you can have.
Right.
Kennedy, Lincoln, McKinley, you can go down the list. But I chose to do it. I love doing it because we're going to make America great again. It's happening.
I think a fatalist is imagine the boomer way of saying black-pilled.
So look at the stock market. We've had the stock market hitting record highs every day. Never been higher. People, last night at the Yankee game, the cops are coming over to me. I love the police here. I love them all over the place, frankly. Sir, you've made me look like a genius. My wife finally respects me. My 401k is through the roof. He said, she thinks I'm a financial genius. I made him into a financial genius.
By the way, we just got word there's going to be a press conference at 9 o'clock. Judge Patel's going to be there, I guess, to give more details on what you told us. And that is, we got the guy. You guys got the guy. And he's in custody and he's alive. And he was turned in by friends and families confirmed it. So is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have...
They're trying so hard. Okay, here you go. You're getting so many layups. President, please tell your people to calm the fuck down. Okay, sorry.
Revenge
we got one more.
To the right. I have friends and families confirmed it.
Here, he'll do it.
Is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter
That's where to go.
But unfortunately, we don't have so many ballot boxes because they have mail-in voting, which is totally rigged. There are a lot of problems. I like ballot.
Bro! It's so easy! It's so easy! What do you just tell people to not fucking kill each other? Please, hello? He's gonna bring it back. Sorry.
Family's confirmed it. So
there's got to be like a live face reaction. Like, President, don't you tell these people to stop? And he's like, they need to win hard. And it's like, whoa. At the ballot box. Oh, but it's rigged. Whoa. Jesus.
is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter
That's
box.
where to go.
But unfortunately, we don't have so many ballot boxes because they have mail-in voting, which is totally rigged. You know, there are a lot of problems. I like ballot boxes where they do mail-in voting all over the place, which is rigged. Anytime, Jimmy Carter, they had a commission. He said, anytime you have mail-in voting, it's a crooked election, okay? And they got to stop. But I can't really say at the ballot box because in some cases, like California, doesn't have ballot.
Okay, so he said we should take revenge to conservatives at the ballot box, but we can't do it at the ballot box, so he's going to give us another alternative, okay? Maybe at the mail-in voting box?
Ballot boxes. They send out 38 million ballots. Nobody knows where the hell they're going. Then they come back. Democrats get more than Republicans.
Right.
It's so unfair, the system, and we're going to fix the system.
What are you going to do about President?
That's it? Oh, okay. So then they should be violent. Good. Heard you loud and clear. By the way, when President Donald Trump was asked to disavow the Proud Boys, President Donald Trump, his statement was, stand back and stand by. Is there not a way to... Oh, what's this?
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left because...
Like, these are crazy statements. He said this, and then what was their response? On Parler, Joe Biggs. Trump basically said to go fuck them up. This makes me so happy. Enrique Tarrio, standing by, sir. Joe Biggs. President Trump told the Proud Boys to stand by because someone needs to deal with Antifa. Well, sir, we're ready. Joe Biggs. Proud Boys. Shout out at the presidential debate. That's what Trump said. That's what they heard. And then that's what they did when they made a whole ass fucking plan to break into the fucking Capitol. And when you look at the videos of who the first people into the Capitol were, who was it? It was drum roll. Hold on. Where is it? At 10 a.m., the first group of Proud Boys gathered near the Washington Monument, about 100 of them. At 10:30 a.m., is this a video? Oh, no, these are all from the indictment. They start marching towards the Capitol. At 12:53, they are the first people to break through the perimeter. And the first person who breaks into the Capitol is Dominic Pizzola, who is a Proud Boys member. He was the first person in. You can see videos of him bashing it with the fucking stolen shield. And then after all of this, Donald Trump pardons all of them. This is like, you will never have a clearer through line than that. From disavow the neo-Nazis that are following your movement. No, I will tell them to stand back and stand by. And then they will post on social media, standing back and standing by. And then they will create a plan to enact a violent riot, which they did. And then they will follow through with it, which they did, which is documented across tweets on all their signal chats and in video evidence. And then they will be charged with seditious conspiracy, which they were. And then they will be tried in court, which they were. And then they will be convicted, which they were. And then Donald Trump will come in office and pardon all of them. pardoning people who were convicted of seditious conspiracy, where the seditious conspiracy was to overthrow the government so that you could remain in power, which you called on them to do on a public stage. Like, there will never be. And then people want to say, what about when this random TikTok account?
Putin, because we just saw these drones in Poland.
This is like California doesn't have ballot boxes. They send out 38 million ballots. Nobody knows where the hell they're going. Then they come back. Democrats get more than Republicans.
Right.
It's so unfair, the system, and we're going to fix this system.
What are you going to do about?
Also, I'm sorry, but like, people are like, oh, this is why you shouldn't call people fascists or Nazis. No, this is why you shouldn't call people who aren't fascists. Donald Trump this is everything a fascist would do. Maybe a fascist would blush if they were part of a democratic government. I don't know if they would be this open or blatant about it, but like, yeah, this is it. You're calling for private military army people to overthrow government and do stuff like this. Like, what kind of a democratic, in a liberal country, liberal democracy country, won't tell people to stop being violent?
Now, 38 million ballots, nobody, which is rigged. Anytime, right. Jimmy Carter, they had a commission. He said,
wait, has Mehdi tweeted about this yet? Sorry, hold on.
They could look at Steve Scalise, a great guy. Look what
changed you. And you talked about your faith and how the American people, they're shaking this morning over Charlie Kirk, the school shooting.
Politicians, and I have a lot of friends that are done everything else. They're equally pretty simple. Hundreds of guys, a great guy. Look what happened. Desmond would have been killed, but you had 3 of them badly hurt, and Steve was really badly hurt. I really say, I'm a little bit of a fatalist, I guess. I say, got to do your thing, or get out of the business and go into something else. It's a dangerous business, and frankly, it always has been. It always has been. My job's very dangerous. If you would have told me this, maybe I wouldn't have done it, Brian. If Brian would have called me up, it's interesting. It's you look at the stats on presidents. It's the most dangerous career you can have.
Right.
Kennedy, Lincoln, McKinley, you can go down the list. But I chose to do it. I love doing it because we're going to make America great again. It's happening. So look at the stock market. We've had the police.
By the way, the guy, you guys got the guy, and he's in custody, and he's alive. And he was turned in, but we're going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge. Charlie. So is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter
That's where to go.
But unfortunately, we don't have so many ballot boxes because they have mail-in voting, which is totally rigged. There are a lot of problems. I like ballot boxes where they do mail-in voting all over the place, which is rigged. Anytime, right. Jimmy Carter, they had a commission. He said, anytime you have mail-in voting, it's a crooked election, okay? And they got to stop. But I say, so I can't really say the ballot box because in some cases, like California doesn't have ballot boxes. They send out 38 million ballots. Nobody knows where the hell they're going.
I used to refrain from calling them fascists, but your population is getting used to political violence. That is essentially real fascism. One of the main differences with Italian fascism is that there isn't a real serious ideology behind that pervades every facet of your country. Yeah, it's crazy seeing it listed out. Fuck, where is the thing? It's like shooting, arson at a governor's house. It's like event after event after event after. It's like, guys, hello? What the fuck is happening right now? Is nobody like kind of worried about this? Isn't this a little bit fucking insane?
They come back. Democrats get more than Republicans. Right. It's so unfair, the system, and we're going to fix the system.
What are you going to do about President Putin? Because we just saw these drones in Poland.
Yeah, well,
more sanctions.
Thing, I mean, I'm not going to defend anybody, but the Poland, they were actually knocked down and they fell into an area. But you shouldn't be close to Poland anyway. Right. So I solved, as you know, 7 wars. 7.
Donald Trump speaks more harshly about the totality of the Democratic Party in the United States of America than he will about fucking Vladimir Putin. You notice that?
I did so many, including Pakistan and India, but big ones. Some were unsolvable. Congo and Rwanda. I solved it. It was going on for 31 years. Millions of people killed. I solved wars. That was unsolvable. Azerbaijan and Albania. It was going on for many, many years. I had the prime ministers and presidents in my office. They sat so far apart. One chair was there, one chair was there. I said, fellas, get together. Come on. He said, I've been fighting. The one said, both great guys. They said, I've been fighting for 22 years. I've been killing his people for 22 years. He's been in there for 22 years. The other one's in there for 7 years. He said, for 7 years, I've been killing their people. I say, let's hug and make up. And then anyway, we solved the problem. They said it was unsolved. I did 7. I thought the easiest one was going to be Ukraine and Russia.
But the problem is really Vladimir Putin. You talked to him in Alaska.
Yeah, I did.
He's picked up the pace of the bombing.
Look, there's tremendous hatred between him and Zelensky. Tremendous. It's I've seen it before.
But Zelensky says I'm coming to the table.
Well, now he does. No, he wasn't coming to the table so quickly. You remember the famous.
So your patience right now.
7 years, I've been killing their people. I say, let's hug and make up. And anyway, we solved the problem. They said it was unsolved. I did 7. I thought the easiest one was going to be Ukraine and Russia.
But the problem is really Vladimir Putin. You talked to him in Alaska.
Yeah, I did.
He's picked up the pace of the bombing.
Look, there's
Look at these skinwalking fuck. They're like trying so hard to guide him. You see how like loaded these questions are, right? Not even a loaded question. He's like, the problem is Putin, though, right? Like, talk about that. Like people are scared. Like the people on the right should also not go for revenge, right? Like they're trying so hard to load the questions at him to guide him to a more sane place.
Tremendous hatred between him and Zelensky. Tremendous. I've seen it before.
But
but
Zelensky
I've never
says I'm
seen-
coming to the table.
Well, now
Zelensky
he
says-
does. No, now
True.
he does. He wasn't coming to the table so
Right.
quickly. You remember the famous.
So is your patience run out with Putin?
Yeah, it's sort of running out and running out fast. But it
For what? Both sides? Say it. Say for both sides.
does take two to tango.
There you go.
It's amazing. When Putin wants to do it, Zelensky didn't. When Zelensky wanted to do it, Putin did. Now Zelensky wants to, and Putin is a question mark. But we're going to have to come down very, very strong. It's the only one. This is the one, because I've always had a great relationship with Putin. This is the only war that I haven't solved. Now, let's get into Gaza, because that's going to...
The only yeah. Wait. What about Gaza? Is that one solved now, or?
It's another one. So those are two that are...
Before you move on, can I ask
more
you, what
complex.
is clamping down on Vladimir Putin?
Well, it'll be hitting very hard.
Yeah, like he can both sides the Russia-Ukraine war, but he one sides the Democrat conservative struggle in the U.S. Like it's
hard on with sanctions to banks and having to do with oil and tariffs also. But I've already done it. I've done a lot. Look, India was their biggest customer. I put a 50% tariff on India because they're buying oil from Russia. That's not an easy thing to do. That's a big deal. And it causes a rift with India. You know,
I thought we were part of NATO. Does an Article 4 invocation not warrant U.S. to attend meeting? What, did this happen, or what are we talking about? I would be shocked if anybody does anything with NATO right now. My guess would be Poland invoked Article 4. Ooh, well, that's pretty scary. I don't even know what that means. Hold on. Maybe it's not scary. Let's what the fuck does that Article 4 invocation mean? Under Article 4 of NATO's founding treaty, members can bring any issue of concern, especially related to the security of a member country, to the table for discussion within the North Atlantic Council. Since 1949, Article 4 has been invoked 8 times. Maybe just a meeting isn't that scary then? I don't know. Making any strong moves with NATO right now, I think would be terrifying, because I don't think Trump would follow through with any of our commitments. And the microsecond Putin or somebody sees, I don't think he would just flat out invade other countries. I don't know if he's got the support or anything for it right now, but it would just be, I think it would be terrifying to try to invoke that right now, to see the U.S. basically become, a ghost.
And remember this is a Europe problem, much more than our problem. The other thing I've done, Brian, and I know how you feel, and very strongly about it, and I understand a lot of people do, a lot of people don't, frankly, but we were spending $350 billion on a war that was across the ocean. Europe was spending $100 billion.
350 billion. It goes up every time. All the numbers are constantly increasing. Is he adjusting for inflation always, or
It's still a lot of money, but it should have been equalized, at least equalized, or they should have spent more. But I did something. As you know, I went to NATO, great relationship with all of those NATO countries, and I got them to raise from 2% to 5%. And then I got them to pay for anything that all of our costs now being paid by NATO.
Points.
So NATO is very, they're rich countries, and they're now paying. We're sending missiles and things to NATO. NATO's paying us, and they're distributing to where they want, which is, in this case, Ukraine.
Mr. President.
Which is a big saving. That's a big difference. We're not spending. But you know what I want to do? I want to stop it for a different reason. Because now, I guess you could say we make money. I don't want to make money, but we're making money but I want to stop because they're losing 6,000 to 7,000 soldiers every single week. And they're not American soldiers. They're Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. And some people in the towns. But the big numbers are the soldiers. They're losing. Last week, they lost 7,018 soldiers. A little bit more Russia than Ukraine. But they both, they've lost 1.5 million soldiers fighting back and forth. I want to stop it on a human basis. Their souls. They're Russian souls. They're Ukraine. They're not American. Yeah. But I just feel I have an obligation to do it. And that was the one I thought was going to be the easiest of the 7.
Right.
And that turned out to be the toughest.
But you got another
one.
I'll get it done. You got Hamas, and you already given them one final warning. They've rejected every single offer. Yeah. They're upset, and Qatar is upset, but they have terrorists in their country right now. What are you going to do? You already gave them the final warning.
So you remember this, when I got involved, it was a mess. Biden left us a mess in everything. The economy, inflation, everything was, he was the worst president we've ever had in this country. His administration was grossly incompetent and radical left, by the way. Radicals. They don't even think of it as, they thought open borders were left us a mess in everything. The economy, inflation, everything was, he was the worst president we've ever had in this country. His administration was grossly incompetent and radical left, by the way. Radicals. They don't even think of it as, they thought open borders were great when people pour in from jails. He left us a mess. We're going to get that fixed. We're going to get it fixed. But remember one thing, I'm the one that got the hostages back. Steve Witkoff has done a great job. We have Adam Bowler. I don't know if you know Adam Bowler. He's a guy, all he wants to do, he's a rich guy. I was going to put him in charge of a massive fund. He had any job he wanted. He only wants to work on getting hostages back. We've got 67 hostages back, and we don't pay any money. Biden would pay $6 billion for 5 hostages, and they'd get more than we would. But they were always getting $6 billion. The money was so crazy. And when you do that, then you're going to have a lot of problems because they're going to go and they're going to keep kidnapping people. But we're going to get it solved. But remember, I'm the one that got all the hostages out. I got them out. Unfortunately, you got a lot of dead people too. You got a lot of dead. They killed. It's a ruthless group of people. I told Hamas, we want our hostages back. We want those hostages back. Now we have all the Americans back, but now I'm talking about hostages, mostly Israeli. But you know, if the hostage is back, so there's 20, but there could be a couple dead in the recent days. But there are 20. But there's also 34 that are dead, and we want them back. The parents call me, and they, you know, I got very close to a lot of these people. Can you get my son back? I said, oh, how's he doing? Sir, he's dead, but they have his body. Can you get him back? You have no idea what I go through. They want that body back just as much as though he were alive. Every bit as much. They want the body back. And I'm getting them back. We got him back. We got every hostage you saw that came out. We got them back, and we've done a good job. But I said, we're not doing the 2. Give me 2 this week and another 3 the next week. You know, and over a period of time. And I always said those final 20 or 10 are going to be tough. We have 20, but I said those final.
Can somebody find me a GIF? I need a GIF of like Charlie Kirk pointing like that. If anybody can find me a GIF like this, I'll love you forever. Okay, we're done with this one.